Stress and length. Stress is a degree of emphasis given a sound or syllable in speech, also called lexical stress or word stress. Length is a feature of sounds that have distinctly extended duration compared with other sounds. Stress. Primary stress. The loudest syllable in the word. In one-syllable words, the one syllable has the primary stress, except for a handful of short-function words, like the, which might not have any stress at all. Secondary stress. Syllables which aren't completely unstressed, but aren't as low as the primary stress. Unstressed syllables. Syllables that have no stress at all. Stress on first syllable. China, slender, happy, table, clever. Stress on last syllable. Present, export, decide, begin. Length. Strictly speaking, a pair of a long sound and a short sound should be identical, except for their length. In certain languages, however, there are pairs of phonemes that are traditionally considered to be long-short pairs, even though they differ not only in length, but also in quality. For instance, English long E, which is E as in feet, versus short E, which is E as in feet, or German long E, which is E as in bed or garden bed, versus short A, which is A as in bed or sleeping bed.
Pitch. The definition of pitch is the relative highness or lowness of a tone, which depends on the number of vibrations produced by the vocal cords. The frequency of vibration of vocal cords is determined by the thickness, the length, and the tension. Pitch range can be divided into three parts. As you can see at the picture, there are high, standard or mid, and low. The pitch range of utterance shows the speaker's attitude toward the information that she or he is conveying. So, what is the information that the speakers bring is based on how the speaker shows the pitch range of utterance. High pitch produced when the vocal folds have a high frequency of vibration. Then, lower pitch produced when the vocal folds vibrate more slowly. So, high and lower pitch is based on how this vocal folds is vibrate. High pitch range indicates an informational contrast as shown in the example. I'm going to Harvard, not Yale. Because high pitch range implies a contrast even when one is not explicitly present in the discourse. It can be used to single out individual words for special attention, as in the example. I'd never do that. Low pitch range is used when speakers want to assert that two items is successive tone units are in the same sense equivalent. As in the example, I told you already, dummy. The word dummy shows that it is to be interpreted as connected with the word you.
Tone is language that uses the pitch of individual vowels or syllables to contrast meaning of words. Or, in simple words, tone is a variation in the pitch of the voice while speaking. The word tone is usually applied to those languages in which pitch serves to help distinguish words and grammatical categories, in which pitch characteristics are used to delineate one word from another word that is otherwise identical in its sequence of consonants and vowels. For example, man in Mandarin Chinese may mean either the stiff or slow depending on its pitch. In tone languages, pitch is a property of words, but what is important is not absolute pitch but relative pitch. Tone languages usually make use of a limited number of pitch contrasts. These contrasts are called the tones of the language. The dominant of the tones is usually the syllable. Types of tones. Generally, there are two main types of tone languages. The first one is register tone or level tone languages, and the second type is contour tone languages. Register tone languages or level tone languages use tones that are level. They have relatively steady state pitches, which differ with regard to being relatively higher or lower. The example of this register tone language is some African languages. Second types is contour tone languages. In contour tone languages, at least some of the tones must be described in terms of pitch movements, such as rises and falls, or more complex movements such as rise-falls. The example of these contour tone languages is some languages in Southeast Asia.
Intonation. The definition of intonation is the melodic pattern of an utterance. It is the way the pitch of the voice goes up and down in the course of an utterance. Intonation contours reflect syntactic or semantic differences and serve a grammatical function, distinguishing one type of phrase or sentence from another. It also functions to indicate the attitudes and emotion of the speaker and focusing attention on important elements of the spoken message. There are three main patterns of intonation. The first one is rising intonation. It's how the voice rises at the end of a sentence. It's usually used for lists and yes/no questions. The second one is falling intonation. It is described as how the voice falls on the final stressed syllable of a phrase or a group of words. Is commonly used for statements, ends of sentences, and WH questions. And the last one is fall rise intonation. Is how the voice falls and then rises. Used at the end of statements when we want to say that we are not sure or when we may have more to add. So these are the examples. The first example, if spoken in a rising intonation, was in the tea honey? It becomes a question whether the tea contains honey. And if it's spoken in a falling intonation, was in the tea honey? It becomes a question about the contents of the tea to someone called honey. The second example, if spoken in a rising intonation, it becomes a question. Your name is Mary? And if it's spoken in a falling intonation, it becomes a statement. Your name is Mary.